What is up, my friends? It is Saturday night and it is the late night agenda. And look, today was supposed to be the day off, but football changes quickly and there is lots for us to go through. Thank you to everyone that watched the video earlier on. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to do my best tonight to keep you up to date with where we are. Don't be expecting definitive answers. I haven't got definitive answers for you. But I've been honest the whole way through this window. And I did say to you guys last night that we got a little tip that something was brewing. Now, what happens over the next 24 hours or so, that remains to be seen. Here's where we are at the minute. Liverpool were offered Anthony Gordon. Not that Liverpool went to try and sign him from Newcastle. Again, not saying we're not interested. But Liverpool were offered him because Newcastle are obviously in a little bit of PSR difficulty. Now, they have sold or agreed a deal to sell Minta. But it's believed that that still won't cover them. That they're still a little bit short to satisfy profit and sustainability rules. Meaning they could face a points deduction. So what we're going to try and do tonight, lads, is go through and figure out where we're at. There's been some talk of Kwanzaa being wanted by Newcastle, which was very quickly rejected by Liverpool, as you can expect. There's some other whisperings around other players. So we're going to try and figure it out tonight where we are. And again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Mark or any of the mods, if you could do me a favour, lads, if any of you have the link to the live shows that you could pin Mark or post to the chat for me, I'll pin that up. So yeah, look, I'm going to go through where we're at, how the day unfolded, and then of course we'll drop into the chat asking or getting your questions along the way as well. So I do appreciate you being in. If you haven't already, folks, please do hit that like button for me. And yeah, look, it's mad. I told you all week I expected something before the end of the transfer window, the end of the financial year for football clubs, which ends on 30th of June, meaning if clubs have any difficulties with profit and sustainability rules, they have to sort it out before the year ends. That's tomorrow night. So if this deal is to happen, and it's still a big if, it's going to have to happen over the next 24 hours or Liverpool will likely walk away, because right now we've got some leverage. Right now Newcastle are a bit worried, so we need to try and make use of our wiggle room and get a deal done if the club want it. And I still don't know the answer to that one, because there's loads of talk that Liverpool are interested in the player for quite a while, but it has to be for the right number. And if we get this done for a reasonable number, I think it's a decent deal. If we don't, we move on. It's as simple as that. So let me just pin this to the top of the chat. Where is it? There we go. Boom. So look, if anybody wants any of the tickets for a Cardiff or Liverpool show, top of the chat, or you can scan the QR code. Right, I'm going to take you through how the day unfolded, where we're at and what I know so far. We were told yesterday that there was the likelihood of some type of situation developing with Anthony Gordon and Liverpool. I had alluded to the fact yesterday that a couple of outlets were flirting with this as well, but we got the nod yesterday, and hence why we made the video we did yesterday talking about Liverpool maybe breaking our transfer record or at least going big. Then I got up today and it seemed like all hell had broken loose with regards to the Gordon deal. Everybody was reporting it. And it stems from the fact that Newcastle do have profit and sustainability rule issues. Newcastle have to free up some cash, and maybe people don't know this, but Anthony Gordon is one, a Liverpool fan, and two, was at our academy when he was younger. He left at the age of, I think it was 11, and joined the Everton Academy, where he's since gone on, obviously, to break into their first team and go and play for Newcastle. Newcastle signed him for a fee of £40 million plus £5 million in add-ons, and I believe that Everton do have some type of a sell-on clause, but I can't find the exact figure for that yet. So look, we're going to go through it tonight and see how you feel. Now, I'm not for 1 second suggesting that Anthony Gordon is the best option for Liverpool. I have other preferences that I'd like personally. But as I always say to you guys, all I can do is report the news, aggregate it, bring it to you, and we talk about it. Whitehammer, first super chat of the night, thank you bro, said Diaz out, Gordon in seems so sideways or backwards. I don't think it does. Now, again, I want to reiterate, bro, that I don't have a preference for Gordon. I think Nico Williams would be a better signing. Kvaratskhelia could be more exciting as well. But on Anthony Gordon, there's a couple of things in the difference. One, obviously, he's got years on Diaz with regards to his age, so Liverpool could utilise him further. Two, he's homegrown, and that wouldn't hurt Liverpool either. And three, he has progressed this year, and he does look like an exciting player. Has he got the robustness to be able to continue to play in the Premier League, score goals, put up numbers? I think he has. And for the right number, I'm okay with the deal. It does feel like if we bring in somebody like Gordon, it's an indication we're probably expecting Diaz or somebody to move on. And I've been saying this for a while, even with some grief. I felt like this was the window we were going to see Barca come in for Diaz, and I still think that's the case. But anyway, let's go back through all the posts for the day, and then we'll get to where we are and see how we're all feeling about it. So, where are we? Right, here we go. So the first thing that we'd seen up today, David Lynch said, Liverpool have turned down the opportunity to sign Anthony Gordon from Newcastle. The Magpies made the first approach as they attempt to comply with PSR rules. The problem there was they wanted Kwanzaa. And Liverpool rightly told them to go and fuck themselves, because there's no chance that Jarell Kwanzaa is leaving Liverpool after such a great breakthrough campaign where he looks like he's legit. So obviously Newcastle wanted him, that's understandable, but Liverpool rightly said no. Next, there was talk of a medical being set up in Leipzig if the deal could be agreed. So Liverpool were clearly somewhat serious here if Craig Hope, who covers, I think for the Daily Mail, covers Newcastle, talking about a potential medical in Leipzig that was mooted for Gordon. So Liverpool clearly have some interest here. Now, Paul Gorst again went on to say Liverpool turned down the offer for Anthony Gordon from Newcastle, but I think this is just Michael Edwards playing hardball. And if a number can be gotten to that Michael Edwards likes the look of, I think Liverpool would do business. So, LFC Transfer Room posted from Craig Hope of the Daily Mail to say, Newcastle were ready to sell Anthony Gordon to Liverpool this week, but talks over a move have broken down. The proposed deal included Jarell Kwanzaa heading in the opposite direction, and it wasn't right for Liverpool. But it does say there is still a chance talk could be revived over the weekend. Remember when we signed Szoboszlai last season? It was really quick. We knew that the release clause of his was going to expire, and we got a deal done within 2 days. Kind of imagine this in a similar way, only there is no release clause, but there is pressure on Newcastle to comply with PSR. And it is a real threat. We've seen the likes of Chelsea and others be questioned over it. We've seen Everton deducted points, we've seen Nottingham Forest face sanctions, and it's believed that the Premier League are looking to really put their cards down here and lay a marker down and show clubs that they have to adhere to the rules, which is where our prudence comes in handy. Any news on Riccardo Calafiori, said Ian. Nope, nothing new, mate, other than, of course, he went out tonight with Italy. Very poor display from that Italian side. Switzerland very deserving of their victory. Apparently PSG are interested as well, said Stevie Boy. Yes, they are. PSG are interested in Anthony Gordon, but they're kind of desperate for wide players as well. I wouldn't rule them out of the Diaz equation. You know, they could come back in looking at Lucho as well. Thanks for streaming, said Harry. Been a rough day. I'm excited to see Gordon and Robbo running down the left side, winding players up. It would be good. It would be fun, and I think he'd grow on us, Anthony Gordon. I do like when I hear him speak. He's a very well-spoken guy. Seems quite intelligent, although he couldn't figure out which brake to press on his bike. But that's a whole another debate. Right, so anyway, we keep going on about the stories. The day goes on and on and on. The Athletic then said conversations have taken place between Liverpool and Newcastle over Anthony Gordon. The future of Anthony Gordon appears uncertain, said the Athletic, until the PSR issue is resolved. And then it came Mundo Deportivo, who kind of came into the equation talking about Diaz, saying Liverpool are looking at options to replace Luis Diaz. And I truly believe this is the case. I know we've been told all along that Liverpool have no intention of selling Diaz. I don't believe that's correct. I think they know what's coming, and I think Diaz is going to want to move. So Liverpool are trying to be prudent here and figure out the right type of replacement. The Anthony Gordon one, though, is a bit confusing, because it's not like we approached Newcastle. It seems, by all accounts, they actually came to us, meaning we should have a lot of leverage in this conversation if Liverpool want to strike a deal. And that's the big question we all don't know right now. How bothered are Liverpool about the possibility of signing Anthony Gordon? I've told you guys so many times I would never sit down to play a hand of poker with Michael Edwards, because the dude is a ninja, and I think he's playing a blinder here again. So Liverpool do remain interested, according to The Guardian, in signing Anthony Gordon, even though a deal broke down. Real Madrid have decided that they will not spend more than 40 million on Lenny Yoro, is another conversation that we're going to have tonight. Liverpool, PSG and United are willing to pay that, but the player wants Madrid. If Lille don't agree the reduced price demands, Real Madrid will move for their plan B, who is Ricardo Calafiori, the player who of course Liverpool are interested in as well. Now, I've got to be honest, if Real Madrid did move on to their plan B and go for Calafiori, I'd very, 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 very happily take Lenny Yoro. Yes, very happily. So let's wait and see what happens there. What's this one? Is this from David Lynch? We've done that one. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. There's so many notes on this here in front of me that I'm trying to work through them all. According to Jacob Steinberg, he said Liverpool remain interested in Newcastle winger Anthony Gordon, with Paris Saint-Germain circling as well, which does kind of back up what our friend said there earlier on about PSG hovering around with interest. One deal that we have seemingly lost out on is, do you remember the youngster we spoke about the other night, Ryan McAdoo, where we were trying to figure out, was he a defender, a winger, a striker, an attacking midfielder? Well, Fabrizio Romano posted earlier on, and it kind of surprised me. He said, exclusive, Ryan McAdoo will leave Chelsea and is set to join Manchester City. The 2008-born talented forward has decided to join City. Deal hijacked after proposals for other Premier League top clubs. Deal in place and huge talent for the Manchester City FC Academy. It is a bit of a surprise because if I'm correct, I think he signed with Trent's Brothers Agency and it was expected that he was going to join Liverpool. Now, I don't know much about the kid, but that was being portrayed as almost a done deal the other day. To see Chelsea decide to sell to Manchester City, or to see him decide to go to Manchester City last minute, it's an interesting one. So let me know your thoughts on that as well. Who are your top 3 players you want this summer, said Jake. And thank you for your super chat, Jake. You're very kind. I don't really have one specific centre-back target I'd like, but if you pushed me on it, I think the sensible business would be Mark Gay from Crystal Palace. It's probably not the sexiest name. Others will probably say Calafiori. There's still people who like Inacio. We've talked about Antonio Silva. But for me, I do like Mark Gay from Crystal Palace. I think it would be an astute piece of business, homegrown, and looks like he's just getting better and better. In midfield, I want Ederson from Atalanta, and I'm very, very adamant about that's the one I want for the midfield, but look, it's not my decision. And up top, again, I think there's loads of options. So, Chiesa, his future is now up in the air, and he's out of the Euro, so there's a conversation to be had there with Juventus. Nico Williams, of course, he wants to go to Barca by the looks of it, but do Barca have the money to pay his wages and to get him out of that Bilbao contract? On top of that, obviously, you've got Anthony Gordon, whose name's doing the rounds today. We've got Bakayoko as well as another wide forward who've been linked to Liverpool. Crescencio Somerville still at Leeds at the minute. So, honestly, there's so many options, I'm not that fussed up top. But what I've always said is, if we do sign a forward that's a wide forward, I fully expect somebody to leave. So that's kind of where I'm at. And thank you again for your super chat, Jake. Minter sold to Brighton. Newcastle no longer need to sell Gordon. Yeah, that would be funny if it wasn't wrong. Again, don't try... look, they are selling him, but it's still not enough. They still need to sell and free up more money. So again, this type of snidiness winds me up. If you want to come in and ask a question or put something into the chat, fair enough. But just because they're selling Minter, it isn't enough money. Many pundits still believe Newcastle still have trouble and they still have to free up even more money than the 36 or 34 million pound that they've agreed to sell Minter to Brighton for. So I don't think it is over for them. I still think they need to free up more cash. And look, think about it this way as well. If you're Anthony Gordon, you now know Newcastle are willing to sell you, or you were going to be sacrificed by Newcastle. That can't be a nice feeling. Like, imagine you come back after the Euros and you're Anthony Gordon and you rock back up to St. James's Park and you look your manager or the sporting director in the eye knowing that you were willing to be sacrificed. That's not going to sit well with a player. You're not going to feel that love and bond, are you? So this could just be a one weekend thing where if it isn't done tomorrow, it's over, or it could kick on a little bit. Ethan said, how are you today? I'm good, yeah, I'm good, mate. Really good. Supposed to be my day off today, but you know me. If I see the stories, I'm jumping on to have a chat with my favourite people in the world. So, yeah, an interesting one. What's the crack with the Germany-Denmark game, by the way? It was postponed because of adverse weather before it came on. Is it back underway? What's the PSR deadline? So, I don't know if you mean when is it or what does it mean. I'm going to try and explain it as best as I can to you. So the difference between PSR and FFP is that profit and sustainability rules are factored over a 3-year cycle, whereas FFP is done on an annual basis, season to season. So for Premier League clubs, the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules mean that during any 3-year cycle, a football club is only allowed to lose a maximum of £105 million over that 3-year period. So the deadline is tomorrow at midnight for PSR. Once we get to July 1st, it's a new accounting year for football clubs. So technically, it's a new year for PSR. And that's why the race is here. And that's why people are so concerned. Because Liverpool, we've so much wiggle room. We've £176 million to play around with before we'd even fall under profit and sustainability rule issues. So we're good in that sense. Newcastle, other clubs, you've seen Aston Villa sacrifice Douglas Luiz and a few other deals. That's why these deals are happening. And that's why I said all week, I'd be astounded if something wasn't brought up this weekend, because we've been lurking, waiting, trying to see who's desperate, and then you try to capitalise on it. So yeah, profit and sustainability rules basically are the Premier League's own rules that allow football clubs to lose a maximum of £105 million over a 3-year cycle. Isn't Gordon just thinking we have better? Look, again, I don't disagree. He would not be at the top of my list of players. But if Liverpool have wind, let's say, that maybe Lucho wants to go, or maybe somebody else wants out, or they can't agree a deal with Salah and he's 1 more year, something like that, I think Liverpool have to at least address the situation. And we have been admirers, is that the right word, of Anthony Gordon for quite a while. And despite me being one of his biggest critics, I have to admit, last season, I did see progress in that Newcastle shirt. Now, I haven't seen enough progress to justify some of the price tags that we've seen mentioned. The price tag of £100 million is nonsensical for me. I think his actual market value, allowing for the fact that he's homegrown, probably about 65 or 70 million pound, and that's the kind of number that I'd be comfortable. What's interesting here is, and this is where we have one of, okay, I'm going to say this and I'm going to make sure very clearly before I say it, I'm going to tell you, much like when I told you about yesterday, this is a whisper we're hearing. I'm not saying it's a fact, but apparently Newcastle could be interested in Caoimhín Kelleher, because they need to bring in goalkeepers. Obviously, they've got Nick Pope there, but I think Kelleher could look at that situation and feel like he could push Nick Pope all the way for number 1 shirt. Jordan thinks he's funny and says, I like your hair. Well done, Jordan. You're the first person that's ever made a ball joke in the 6.5 years I'm on the channel. Now, would you mind shutting the fuck up and letting the adults talk, mate? Because you aren't funny. It wasn't funny the first 500 times I've heard it, and it isn't funny now. Come on, dude. We're not children here, although perhaps you are. So I could make a joke about your mother and she loves it and all this other shit, but I'm not going to do it today because I'm kind of in a good mood and I don't want to be that guy. But you need to be better, bro. Does Gordon start over Gakpo? Is the deal likely? Does he start over Gakpo? It depends. It depends. Like, I don't think we can look at any of our players in attack, maybe with the exception of Mohamed Salah, and say that any of them are nailed on to start every specific game. Sometimes it's a matter of horses for courses. Will Gakpo suit the style of the team we're playing? Are they going to play with a low block? Are they going to be a bit more adventurous to leave space in behind? If they're going to leave space in behind, then Anthony Gordon's pace would probably be more beneficial. If they aren't, if they're going to play compact, then maybe the trickery of Cody Gakpo coming in onto that right foot of his could be beneficial as well. So I wouldn't look at it from a point of view of one or the other. It's more what's the most beneficial to the squad and gives us more options. So with Diaz and Gakpo, we've got 2 great options. And again, I'm not advocating to get rid of Luis Diaz, but this is the way the cards are falling this summer and it looks like a likely situation. Archie Gray, the Busquets regen. Yeah, he looks like he could be off to Brentford. Talk of Archie Gray going to Brentford, which I think is actually a really good deal for him. Because one of the things we've always spoken about when we've been talking about Archie Gray is that his family and his representatives wanted to make sure if he did leave Leeds that he's going to get minutes and he's going to get the chance to progress. He wouldn't get that at a club like Liverpool or Chelsea because there's too much pressure on the managers and he's not there yet. So I think that's quite a clever move for him if he does see it through and he does go to Brentford. Is the Gordon deal dead in the water due to Minta? No, it isn't, mate. Again, I'm going to move on to that now in a second because there has been some recent posts from journos about the situation there. So this coming in from Sky Sports said the £33 million received for Minta for Newcastle is unlikely to be enough to satisfy the Premier League profit and sustainability rules and avoid a points deduction for Newcastle. And they're not alone in saying that. There's other outlets as well. Luke Edwards of The Telegraph said it's unclear whether PSR issue was resolved for Newcastle, but a big chunk of the deficit has been removed, so maybe they're a little bit less desperate. Important thing here, though, to remember is it's no biggie for us. If Liverpool see a deal there that's worth striking and Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes see value in it, cool. If we don't, we don't. But the interesting thing, as I mentioned earlier about Kelleher, I think that would be a great deal for everybody involved if it was possible. You know, I don't want Kelleher to leave Liverpool, but I do understand the situation. And the difference is, if I'm Kelleher, I look at Nick Pope and go, I think I can get the better of him. I think I can become the club's number one. And I think the Geordies would love him. I think it'd be a good signing for him. Top level club, continue his development. And of course with Liverpool, we know we're looking at that kid Bento as one of the options in the goalkeeping department. So if you could include Kelleher in a deal, although I'm not saying it's happening, it would certainly be far more palatable to Liverpool than Jarell Quansah, who Newcastle initially wanted. Craig, is it true that Newcastle wanted Quansah? Yes, absolutely true. And that was a no-starter for Liverpool. Craig, I bet you can't jump. I bet I can. I bet I could jump all over your fucking head if you were standing in front of me trying to be a smart arse. So how about that one? Again, I'd love all of these smart arses to be doing this stuff to anybody in person. It's great hiding behind a keyboard, but let's see what happens in the real world when you take that attitude out into the real world. I think it's not going to end well for you in life, bro. So relax, calm down. I'm fat and bald. I get it. But I'm still pretty awesome. So it's all good. You know, if you grow up to have the banter that I do and you build yourself a business like this with a community like I have, you'd be doing alright in life, but you won't because you're a dickhead. So calm. Kelleher would be good for Newcastle. It'd be brilliant, Rachel. It would be a great move for him. I think the Geordie fans would love him as well. But, as I said, that is just a whisper. That isn't something that I can sit here and categorically say to you guys, I feel like it's likely. It's just something that... It's something that I would rank at a 4 out of 10, let's say. Because we hear a lot of stuff. What part of it you bring to you guys or we bring to the audience, we are always a little bit more cautious with that. But yesterday, it was one of those days where it just felt like there was something brewing and there was teases everywhere. And I've said this to you guys as well. The Echo had been banging on about Gordon for a while and, you know, flirting with this whole interest from Liverpool stuff. So I wasn't at all surprised to see today that the story had escalated a little bit further. Kelleher won't be a number 2. So again, you're assuming that he's not going to get in ahead of Nick Pope. I think he's a better goalkeeper than Nick Pope. And if he went there, he'd have a far better shot at displacing Nick Pope than he would have Alisson Becker. And that's if Nick Pope doesn't have another injury concern as well. I think you're all underestimating how good Kelleher is if you think that Pope would worry him. Pope's a good goalkeeper, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to knock Nick Pope, but there's a big difference between looking at the situation with Nick Pope and looking at Alisson Becker. One of them's the best goalkeeper in the world and the other one's Nick Pope. So somebody tried to say I'm an albino Malteser. Do you understand what an albino is? Like, are you that thick that you don't understand what an albino is? You know albinos have no tone to their hair at all. See my eyebrows? Does that not give you a hint that maybe I'm not an albino? Very strange. Look, I am here to educate as well as absolutely put you in your place. So don't feel bad about it. It's okay. Uncle Craig's here to educate you as well from a football perspective and just on life in general. So if you have any more questions, feel free to ask me. But again, maybe Google what an albino is before you make a show of yourself. I'm from the US. How much time is left before the PSR deadline? Tomorrow, midnight. So once we get into July 1st, it's a new financial year. Football clubs' financial years and all business financial years usually run from June to June. So with the 3-year cycle of PSR, this 3-year cycle period ends tomorrow at midnight. So if you do have to free up money, it has to be done before then. It's almost like there's 2 transfer windows, and that's the way a lot of the media are reporting it at the minute. It's like there's this little mini window that has to be sorted out for the 1st of July, and then there's obviously the window that ends on, I think, August 30th, if my memory's right, at 11 o'clock. Some absolute helmets on here tonight. I know, and these were probably the same that were last night trying to tell me how wrong I was about the Anthony Gordon stuff, and that Liverpool have no interest in any deal, and that was totally disproved, and I was so wrong. How's that looking now, motherfuckers? Again, I think I've earned my respect at this point, and we've been 6 years on the channel. We've broken quite a few stories, and I love to see the little people in the chat think they're funny, mocking me in the comment section, only for the next day to be proven right. So, I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. And 99% of our chat is amazing. But, yeah, I'm not here to be abused by anybody. So, as I've always said, respect is a minimum in our community, to me and to other people in the chat. If you don't come in and show respect, you're very quickly going to be banned by me or the moderators. It's that simple. It's a good little lesson to take into life in general. Respect for everyone is a minimum. I thought today was your day off. Go hang out with your awesome family and get that grill going. It's lashing rain here, bro. I actually planned today on making pizzas with my daughter in the pizza oven, but yeah, the weather's miserable. My wife's at the gym, so, I'm jumping on. I'm going to take tomorrow off instead. Unless something happens, of course, again. Right, let's get cracking on more news, though. The Archie Gray deal, I think, is a very good one. So let me ask you guys, do you think we're going to sign him? I'm going to put a poll up in the chat, and I'm going to ask you guys what you think about Anthony Gordon. Right, so will we sign Gordon? Yes or no? The interesting thing for me is, I don't know if I'm wrong about this, but I get the feeling like it's if it's not done by tomorrow, we're not going to continue on with it. Because Newcastle then don't have the financial pressure, so I don't think we have the leverage. Yeah, so for me, this is very much a case of this weekend or it ain't happening, in my mind anyway. Love you, Craig, and your heart. Please don't let them smart asses get you. No, look, it's a circle. People tell me not to react, but at the same time, the comments are getting through, so they should be moderated out, and the moderators are doing their best. But occasionally, I catch a glimpse of it, and sometimes I don't react, sometimes I do. But I'm trying to react less aggressively than I did in the past, and certainly with less real personal insults, because I'm the type of person that goes from 0 to 100 when it comes to banter. Did I do something wrong? Lauren? No, I've not seen. Did you get timed out or something, Lauren? It certainly wasn't by me, mate, if it was. So I've got no idea. Gordon makes a ton of sense. Homegrown, right age, versatile, boyhood fan. Let's get it done. I agree, Austin. I like the idea of Gordon for the right number. But, we've always spoke... Oh, my goodness, 1-0 Denmark? Oh, hello. 1-0 Denmark. That's mad. Wow. Sorry, just taking me back. Go Denmark. So yeah, on the price for Anthony Gordon, for me, the reason why I've always laughed at it was this idea of spending. Sorry, Mark messaged me. Spending 100 million quid was crazy. But if you get him for the right number, I think the deal could make sense, particularly if we're going to lose a forward. What's this? Oh, I don't know, Lauren, why you're not a mod. Mark's just messaged me. I'll remod you now. I've no idea why you're not a mod, Lauren. Let me just find your comment, my friend. Where's Lauren? There you go. I don't know what happened, Lauren. I certainly did not remove your moderator. You know how highly I think of you, mate. So, 1 second. It's done now. So sorry about that, Lauren, but it's remodded now. 100 million is just a normal price for a top talent. I get where you're coming from, James, but remember, they only paid 40 plus 5. So they paid 45 million from a year ago. He hasn't doubled his value, plus a little bit extra in a year for me. I view him at about 65, 70 million quid. Shannon Lutz, thank you for becoming a member of Anfield Agenda FC. Appreciate your support, my friend. Thank you very much. Welcome in. Oh, got no goal. Offside. Goal ruled out in the Denmark-Germany game. No goal. That's a shame. That would have put the cat amongst the pigeons. So, England fans, what are we thinking now that the group's open, that side of the draw is opening up for you? Italy being knocked out deservedly by Switzerland, who I actually thought were brilliant. Their pressing was top-notch. They were a very good technical team, well drilled. Italy, they looked like a shadow of themselves. I couldn't believe that's the worst Italian performance I think I'm going to say ever seen on the international stage. From defending champions to go out of the Euros that pathetically, it was bad. Foxy, there you go, mate. Moderator, done. Right, this is similar to when we signed him last year. Similar type of player as well, late June, said Ben. Craig, it won't be Wilson leaving tomorrow because the Saudi transfer window opens on July 17th. So, again, like I've said, whatever happens now, Anthony Gordon knows he was surplus to requirements. Anthony Gordon knows that Newcastle tried to sell him. That ain't going to go down well with him and his agent, who happens to be, if I'm not mistaken, Trent's brother. I believe Trent's brother represents Anthony Gordon. I think. We looked into it yesterday. I think I remember that correctly. So yeah, he's not going to be happy. You know, he's away with England and he's hearing that his club are thinking of selling him a year after buying him, after having a good season, because they made a mess financially. You know, that's not going to go down well with him. If you were a player in that situation, you know, you wouldn't be best pleased, would you? Can you see us doing any business in the window off the post? Oh, absolutely, mate, yes. I fully believe we'll get 2 or 3 signings in this window. I just don't know who or when. But yeah, no, I definitely believe we're going to get signings done. The Mystic said, I see Calafiori coming to us. The reason that I think there's a great chance for Calafiori is because of Richard Hughes. So normally when we're linked with players from Italy, I would say bullshit 90% of the time. But Richard Hughes, the fact that he looked at this guy when he was at Bournemouth, and he's progressed since, obviously Genoa got themselves, or Bologna, got themselves into the Champions League. They lost their manager to Juventus. Juventus then coming back in looking for Calafiori, and Bologna have no interest really in selling to Juventus. If possible, they'd rather sell outside the league. So yeah, I think there's definitely some potential for that to be true. I just don't know how far our interest goes, but I can see a world that it's true, that like we're certainly running the rule over the deal. Oh, penalty for Germany. The chat are saying penalty for Germany. It was Michael Oliver's the ref, isn't he? Fair. It was nice of Abu Dhabi to allow him to come and officiate in the tournament. I thought it was very nice to allow Michael Oliver to go and officiate in the Euros, you know. How is Michael Oliver always involved in controversial decisions? Well, it's not just Oliver. Just look at any time if English officials are refereeing in this competition. Do you remember the other big incident? Stuart Atwell was on VAR when they shit the bed as well. I think Anthony Taylor was ref in the game and Stuart Atwell was the VAR for it. Yeah, it just goes to reiterate what we've always said. The officials coming from the Premier League just aren't up to the job. They're not good enough. Anakin Skywalker said, the idea of Trent pinging a diag through to Anthony Gordon sounds class. So, what's the one thing I've always said to you guys I have a weakness for? Okay, sorry. The correct answer for that is cake. What's the one thing footballing wise I've always said to you guys I have a weakness for? A pacey attacking player. I love a player that just gets the ball, runs at people and makes defenders shit themselves. We don't have enough of them at the club, in my opinion. We've got Lucho. We used to have Salah and Mane. Salah's lost a half yard of pace. Still supremely fit, obviously. But yeah, I love it. I love a pacey forward that runs at people and makes them fall over. Makes them turn themselves inside out. So the idea of adding more pace to the team, it's always appealing to me. It's just for the right number, you know. So here's a question. Maybe I can put this to a poll in a few minutes, actually. Maybe I'll hang on for that. So let's have a look at this recent one where we said, will we sign Anthony Gordon? So far, 52% of you guys are saying yes, we will, and 48% are saying no. We'll leave that running for a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to ask you what price range you think any deal could be done in. Guilherme said, Kvaratskhelia is off to PSG, I heard. They're interested. That's absolutely correct. But look, if you're Kavicha Kvaratskhelia and you're at a club like Napoli, who's went and they won Serie A and then they had a bit of a poor season, went through 3 coaches, your next move is going to be important. And with all due respect, Paris Saint-Germain is a nothing move. You go to that club for one reason and one reason only, money. Because you're not going to win the Champions League. You're going to win the French title, but did you grow up dreaming about playing in some of those bang average French games? You know, if there's a real offer on the table for him from a top club, I think his preference would be to go there. But if there's no other offers on the table, then maybe Kvaratskhelia does go to PSG. On that though, really interestingly, Antonio Conte kind of just said bluntly, it ain't happening. He's not going anywhere. He spoke about the reassurances he was given when he became Napoli manager, spoke to De Laurentiis, the president, and he was told that Victor Osimhen could well be sold, but that there was no way he was going to lose Kvaratskhelia. So that's at odds with what his father and agent have said. Both of them said they want him out of Napoli. I'd go to Wrexham over PSG. Do you know what? I probably would as well. To be honest with you, mate, I probably would as well. What's this Mark sending me? So, Anfield sector have posted to say, one Premier League source has said further outgoings remain live prospects for Newcastle before the profit and sustainability rule deadline. So as we've said to you, and thank you Mark as well, as we've said to you, I don't think Newcastle are out of trouble yet. I think they still have issues that they need to resolve. And there's only so many Todd Bowley-esque type deals you can do. So this is Michael Edwards' prime time for me. This is where Edwards shines. Good night, my big teddy bear. I love you. I'll take that, John, every day of the week. I'll take that, mate. I don't believe these Newcastle journalists. In what sense? I don't know what you mean. Like, I'm not saying that to believe them or not to believe them. I don't know what sense you're talking from. Do you think if we sign Calafiori, he'll drift into midfield like he does for Italy? 100% yes. One of the things we're going to look at for a centre-back is we're going to want a ball-playing centre-back, somebody who can break a line and carry a ball into midfield, 100%. So Calafiori does that. I think he was converted from a midfielder, a defensive midfielder. So yes, I would have no doubt that he would be a progressive centre-back in a system under Arne Slot. And thank you, Bradley Van Vuren, for your super chat, my friend. Very kind of you indeed. Harry said, this feels very similar to the Szoboszlai deal last year. We were given a hint that move was possible and we snapped it up quickly. That's exactly what I was saying earlier on. Like, that deal kind of seemed to be done over a 2-day period just before his release clause expired, and Liverpool, George Schmaka, went in and got that deal done. This could be a similar situation, but the key word here is could be. You know, Liverpool wanted Szoboszlai, so Liverpool went to trigger the clause. In this case, the initial offer came from Newcastle to Liverpool. Hi Craig, won't it be better to go for Isak instead of Gordon? We got players who can operate on wings, but no clear 25-30 goal finisher, especially looking at last season where we missed big chances. If you ask me which one I'd prefer, I'm with you. You know, I would go Alexander Isak, but maybe Arsenal are going to come in for him, and you're talking probably 115 million quid. So I would agree with you. If you said to me which one of these two do you want, yes, I would agree with you. But this is where we're at, you know. And I can't reiterate this enough. I wonder what goes through Anthony Gordon's head right now as he's over there in Germany preparing for the game tomorrow with England, although he's likely to be on the bench. What is he thinking now? You know, he joined the club when he was sold the vision. He was sold the progress that Newcastle wanted to make. And now 1 year into that deal, he's been offered around so Newcastle can free up money. That's not going to fill him full of confidence. And if I'm him, I'm not going to be happy when I come back from international duty one way or the other. If you were offered Osimhen, would you take him? Said the lad from Ireland. No, I wouldn't. I don't think Victor Osimhen is going to be a prolific striker. I think he's a system striker that's really good, really strong, really versatile, really honest pro. But I don't see him being a consistent 35 goal a season person at a top league consistently. And that's always been my opinion of him. I don't see enough consistency from him to justify a move to our system. And also, I would kind of take a little bit of pushback from a friend a minute ago who said we don't have a 25-30 goal striker. I think that will be Darwin next year. Really, I do. Yeah, I think it is. And if we have Jota there as well, Jayden Dan's coming through. For me, this smacks that Liverpool are expecting something with Diaz. I really feel like they know one of our wide forwards are going to leave this summer. T-Easy, thank you bro for the super sticker, appreciate you. Gordon's not worth 100 million, I agree, Colin, and I would certainly say to you mate that I don't think Liverpool would entertain paying that much money. One thing that I haven't heard mentioned today, and again if I'm wrong on this, hands up, but I've not seen a figure. In all the stories and all the links that I've read through that we've had today from all the journalists, the one thing missing in all of them to me has been the transfer figure. We've seen that they wanted Kwanzaa involved in the deal, but I've not seen what the difference in cash valuations would have been. I think Darwin will shine under slot, said Uganon 67. So do I. And look at him now. He's over with Marcelo Bielsa, playing in the Copa America. He scored 2 goals in 2 games. He's on a run of 7 goals in a row in international appearances. About to break a record if he scores in the 8th game for Uruguay. He's full of confidence. Yeah, he's full of confidence. Keith Downey said Gordon or Isak won't leave. Hang on one second. Okay, so one of the people from Sky are saying now it won't be Isak or Gordon, but still a potential sale of a first team player. But the thing is, they've pissed off Gordon now. And I think whatever you say, Gordon's going to look at this and go, not good enough, not wanted. They have made a big mistake. And they are going to regret it. Because Gordon knows that he was surplus to requirements. And whatever they talk about freeing up PSR, it's still not going to make him happy. Would I take Gordon? For the right number, Babatunde, yes. I would, my friend, yes. But for the right number. For me, that number is 65 or 70 million quid. Kudus, I would love him so much. Guilherme, we know what the situation there is, Guilherme. £85 million release clause. Initially, that release clause was exposed, is that the right word? By David Ornstein, but it was Florian Plettenberg, I think, that confirmed that release clause is active this summer. David Ornstein initially said that release clauses for him and for... Who was the other person at Newcastle? There was 2 Newcastle players that he said have release clauses, one of them being Kudus. I can't remember off the top of my head now who the other one was. Right, so I'm going to end this poll and I'm going to change it to evaluation. So, we asked, would we sign Gordon? And you guys said 51% yes, 49% no. But what I want to ask you next is, what do you think his valuation is? So, bear with me while I set up this poll. One sec. Okay, LFC Love, thank you for gifting a membership. Really appreciate you. Okay, one sec. Just trying to write this out, bear with me. I'm going to add one more. Seconds. We got that one. Cool. Right, I'm going to give you 3 options. 50 to 60 million, 60 to 70 million, or 70 million plus. What do you think the valuation of Anthony Gordon is? TOTT2KZ1, thank you, mate, for gifting 5 memberships. Really kind of you indeed. Appreciate your support. Thank you very much. And as I'm sure those memberships will be greatly appreciated by people in the chat. Also want to just take a really quick second to wish Brian all the best tomorrow. LFC USA, as you guys know him as well. He's playing in that little mini tournament tomorrow over in Boston as a goalkeeper as well. So looking good in his full kit, and wishing him all the best tomorrow. Gordon is a lifelong Liverpool fan. He'd slot right in, said Ray. Absolutely, Ray. We let him go from our academy. It was either age 9 or 11. I always get confused which one it was. And you're right, he is a Liverpool fan. He's spoken positively about Anfield before. I think he said it's the best away stadium as well. Yeah, I think he'd jump at the chance. But it's whether Liverpool jump at the chance or not. Yeah, that German penalty looked a bit suspect at best. 75 to 80 mil is more than fair, said Joan. Lifelong Liverpool fan, so was Bellingham. Right, and? Do you have a fucking point to your snidey comment? Or, I mean, look, I've said this before. There's reasons why Bellingham to Liverpool didn't happen. I can't talk about them publicly. I've spoken about them in my Belfast live show. I'll speak about them in Cardiff and Liverpool as well. I told Davino when I met up with him, first question he asked me was about the Bellingham deal, and I told him. So, but Bellingham's also denied he's a Liverpool fan. As soon as he went to Real Madrid there, you could see him pretending it was Zidane all his life. So, if you have a point, mate, imagine creating an account to say Anfield Agenda is a tool just to get a bit of fucking pat in the head. Your ma. The fucking state of it. Anfield Agenda is a tool. It took you longer to write that than it did Mark Debanye. Do you think we're going to see more of Jayden Danns next season? I think he goes on loan. Personally, I think he goes on loan, and I think that's the right call. 2-0 now in the Germany game. 2-0. Musiala. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, he's a great player. Jamal Musiala. Jayden Danns looks brilliant, but I think it's important that he continues to score goals, basically. The last thing we want to do is have him on the bench, bring him on for 5 or 10 minutes here or there, and ruin that confidence that is clearly flowing through his veins right now. I think Jayden Daniels needs a loan where he's going to go and play football and continue to score goals, because I believe he will continue to score a lot of goals, because he looks phenomenal. He really does. Same with young Kumas. I'd send him out on loan. I think Bobby Clark's an interesting one. He stays around, I believe, next season. And Tyler Morton, we're still waiting to see if that situation resolves with Leipzig or other clubs who've shown interest in him. Craig, what do you think about going to the gym? I think that I'm 42 years of age, I'm married, and I don't care if I'm fat. That's what I think about going to the gym. And before you want to be smart arse about it, which one of us was capped at international level as a goalkeeper as a youth? Bet you it wasn't you, but the fatso here was. So don't worry about me. I'm all good. I don't need to go to the gym. I work out with the missus, if you know what I mean. So don't worry about me. I'm all good. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that as well. Gym is good for your health. So is a lot of other stuff. But fuck off and look after your own life. Jesus Christ, I don't want to be lectured or told what to do. Do I come on here and tell you how to live your life? Go fuck yourself. Do what you want to do, and I'll do what I want to do. Mind your own goddamn business. Weird. What is PSR? PSR is Profit and Sustainability Rules. So in the Premier League, these things are worked out on a 3-year cycle. And football clubs are allowed to lose £105 million under the current rules over a 3-year period. In that 3-year period, Liverpool have been tickety-boo. We have loads of wiggle room. But clubs now have to sort this out. The reason the pressure's on right now is because these things are going to be reevaluated at the end of June. So basically tomorrow night at midnight, a 3-year period's over. And if clubs haven't got their ship correct and their stuff in order, they're going to have points deductions and they're going to face sanctions. So that's why there's a rush at the minute. The difference between PSR, if I could briefly explain it, and FFP is that one is a 3-year cycle and the other one's done annually. And we don't really enforce FFP in its current guise in the Premier League yet, although there is talk of it. Anfield sector said it's over. Okay, sorry lads, 15-year-olds on Twitter have said it's over, so let's just all put our hands up and say it's over, because the 15-year-olds have said it's over. You do realise that all these accounts, Craig Insecure, Craig is my name, by the way, learn to spell, you dumb fuck. I'm not insecure, I'm very secure. I'm just not here to be picked at by you or anybody else, you dumb little clown. So, I'm here to talk football. If you're in here to talk football, we can talk. If you're in here to be an asshole, then fuck off back up to your box room and do whatever it is you were doing. I don't have the time, the patience, or the will to sit here and listen to bullshit, quite frankly, when every single one of you that is there trying to be a smartass would crawl over broken glass to be where I am. So chill. I'm happy with me. I'll do me. You look after you. Especially when these dumb fuckers can't even string a sentence together. Jesus, grow up. So yeah, on the likes of an Anfield sector, as an example, I view them the same way I'd view us. We're aggregators of news. We're not people that have the journalists and are breaking the stories. That's the way to look at all of these. So you've got Anfield sector, you've got Anything Liverpool, LFC Transfer Room, all of these other really cool accounts, and they do serve a good purpose. I'm not here to knock them. They aggravate the news and they bring it to us football fans, and it's cool. They're great services and I think they all do a good job. But I would never look at what they say and take it as gospel, because they're only using other people's quotes or stories, which again is fine. You know, I'm not trying to knock them. They provide a good service to Liverpool fans. Musiala or Gordon? Oh, 100% Musiala, bro. 100%. Some of us are not native English sometimes. I can be wrong. Sorry for that. again, Guillermo, I'm not knocking anybody for not having native English as a first language, bro. I'm knocking people who are here to mock me not being able to spell a sentence. And in that case, it doesn't matter to me whether you're a native tongue or not. If you're being an asshole, you're being an asshole. Do you get me? I'm never going to mock somebody for just constructing a sentence asking a question if English isn't their first language. You never have to be concerned about that, mate. I'm not that guy. I'm the type of person that shows you respect until that respect goes out the window. And then I just don't listen anymore, you know? Respect's a minimum. But I should have hoped, Guillermo, you'd know me by now. I'm not questioning anybody who isn't using English as their native tongue because I'm very jealous of you. I wish I knew a second language, mate. Sincerely, I do, but I don't. So that's the way I look at it, mate. I'm not here to mock people's grammar. I'm here to just put down people who are coming in to not contribute. Because every comment they put in that I read is time taken away from me chatting with you guys. You know, people are genuinely interested to interact with each other. It's annoyed Newcastle fans. I very much imagine it would. Yeah, I very much imagine it would. And as I've said before, on top of all of this, Anthony Gordon now knows that Newcastle were willing to throw him under the bus and sell him. And that can't be a good look, you know, or if they're attracting any other players into the football club now. Remember Newcastle, excuse me for not remembering, but I don't remember who it was, but somebody from the Newcastle camp came out and said that Newcastle will have to make some unpalatable decisions. I think the phrase used was, they might have to take one step back to take two steps forward, meaning they might have to do a Liverpool with Philippe Coutinho, sell a player and then reinvest that money to buy a couple of more top-notch players that will overall push the club on. Ryan said, so do you think if we get Gordon, that's Lucho leaving? Yes. But I got to make this really clear. It wasn't Liverpool that approached Newcastle over Anthony Gordon. Although we do have an interest in the player. We've always admired Anthony Gordon. But in this case, what makes this deal so unusual, it was Newcastle that approached Liverpool over the deal. And they wanted Jarell Quansah included in the initial deal. And Liverpool said, no way that's happening. So from that regard, it's very strange. Because I don't know now what Liverpool's stance is going to be, you know. Because if Liverpool wanted to get the player and wanted him badly, this could have been a different negotiation. But if a club comes to you and says, any interest in buying this guy, we need to free up money. I don't know how we respond to the initial refusal, if we go back in or not. Corey said, love you and what you do and this community. Thank you. Appreciate you, mate. Yeah, 5 weeks, by the way. 5 weeks from tomorrow, we're going to be in Liverpool for our live show. Our last live show. Second last one's going to be Cardiff on August the 2nd. So if you want to come along to either of the shows, you can get your tickets with the link at the top of the chat or the QR code at the bottom right corner of the screen. And also it's in the description of the stream as well. Rachel, thank you for gifting a membership, Rachel. You're very kind. Is there any more news on Kimmich moving? Yes, I did read something earlier on Joshua Kimmich. I think it was that Barcelona, one of the clubs that have been mentioned as a club he'd go to, have declared that they're not at the table for Joshua Kimmich. So I think based off what Florian Plettenberg and Sky Germany have always said, it was Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Barcelona and Real Madrid that Kimmich would be willing to go to. There was a piece, I want to say, in the Echo that said Liverpool given a boost in Kimmich hunt, and the kind of gist of the piece was that Arne Slot really likes Joshua Kimmich and would like to bring him to Liverpool, and the spin in the piece was, like I said to you there, that Barcelona are unable to do that deal, so that somehow benefits us or something. I don't really understand it because I don't know how strong our interest is in Kimmich. How will Newcastle fans react to him being a Liverpool fan? I don't think it bothers them in any way, Tanya. I think we as fans sometimes get a little bit too hung up on this who did they support stuff. I mean, ultimately they're professionals. You know, look at the players who've come through Anfield who've been Evertonians, Carragher probably being, you know, one of the most high profile ones. So I think, look, to me, Newcastle fans are a really good set of fans. I've always got time for Geordies. I think they're a good group of people. And well, look, I've known he's been a Liverpool fan for at least a year, so I'm sure they knew when he went there. Any news on Eze? Still, the only real thing I've seen on Eze is that Spurs are the favourites to get a deal done for Ezekiel Eze. I don't really know of anything new from our side, unfortunately, mate. Sorry. Do you feel the deal is likely? Joyce has been silent. At this point, no. If I was to put 50 quid down now, I would say I don't think we sign him. I'm not saying that just because of the Minta stuff, although that will have freed up some wiggle room for Newcastle. They still have to sell, I think, about 10 million. But according to this report, Keith Downey said it won't be an Isak and a Gordon, but it'll still be a potential sale of a first team player. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here. The next 24 hours could spring a surprise. And don't just think of it as Liverpool only looking at Gordon. Liverpool could be running the rule over other players here silently that we don't know about. I think it's very telling that we've been so silent. Because I take that as actually a good thing. Because if we weren't going to be doing business, I feel like the journalists would be briefed to be less expectant, perhaps, or more. The narrative, I think, would be different from the club, trying to tell us about the rebuild last summer and all this stuff. Emilio Smith said, "Hi Craig, love your channel. Thank you, mate. Appreciate you. Thank you, mate. And welcome in, by the way." So Kenu, again, mate, coming in, trying to give it the bitty big bollocks with deal is off. We're the ones who turned down the deal initially. So Newcastle don't hold the cards in this situation. Liverpool said no to the deal. Liverpool didn't want Kwanzaa included. The question we all had was, will Liverpool look to rejig the deal? So I'm really relaxed about this. If we don't sign Anthony Gordon, no biggie. I'm sure that there's other fish to fry. But what is confirmed is that Anthony Gordon is going to be pissed off about it. You know, if you're in his shoes, you're not going to feel great, are you? You're over there on international duty, and while you're over there, your club are trying to sell you. It's not going to go down well. His agent ain't going to be happy about that. So either way, I think Anthony Gordon's going to... he's going to have a lot to say behind the scenes probably when he gets back. Do you think Elise be a good signing for Liverpool? He's going to Bayern Munich, mate. He's going to go to Bayern Munich. Liverpool weren't even in that conversation, apparently. The journalists were saying that it was Chelsea. I think there was another Premier League club, but ultimately he made the decision that he's going to join Vincent Kompany and go to Bayern Munich. That is a very good get for Bayern Munich. Have Real Madrid put a fee on Güler? No, not that I've seen, Marwan. There was an article during the week that said that Liverpool were interested in a loan for Arda Güler. But I don't know anything else on top of that, mate. For me, the idea of taking him on loan would only make any sense if we had a concrete option to buy him at the end of it. If we didn't, I just don't see why you'd bring a player in for a year, maybe improve your team and then initially weaken it again while improving a player for a rival in the Champions League. He's a very good talent, but I don't see it being likely. MVAR said, Craig, do you think Gordon regarded as a so-called plus player with the club feeling that they are in a position holding the cards in a future deal? I don't know. Truly, I don't. We can talk about what's happened over the last 24 hours, but I really don't know where Liverpool sit on it. I don't. If you're trying to spell my name, the person who said big fan, you want to drop the O there near the end and change it to an E. My name is Houlden, but either way, Eze would be our Bobby. It doesn't look like we've any interest, in all honesty, mate. Even if you look at the bet nods on it, we're like 12-1, something like that. Whereas Spurs were even money last I checked, and it looks like Spurs are the ones that will be making the play to sign Eze. I've really not seen much from Liverpool except from the fan base. The bitters are fuming. I know, and that's why I wanted it to happen, Paul. I wanted it to happen because their heads would fall off. It would be just so good, mate. I mean, that's how petty I am, Paul. It would be just so good to see it happen. Yeah. Was he one of the players, by the way, that was chased out of the car park? Maybe I've got this wrong, but I have a feeling Anthony Gordon was one of the players who was chased out the car park. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Any news on Ederson? The last I'd seen, mate, was still the usual stuff coming out of Italy. Just vague nonsense to say that they're expecting a bid. But no, nothing new. Both competitions, the Euros and the Copa America, are getting towards the part. Now, the Copa America is doing the last group stages games starting tonight. So then when we get to the knockout rounds, you're going to start to see these big players go on their holidays. And when they're on their holidays, I think that's likely. So I have a question for you guys, if you don't mind me asking. Do you think that Liverpool are talking with Mohamed Salah about a new deal at the minute while he's on holidays? You know, if we cast our minds back to the last deal Mo signed, it was when he was away on holidays. Liverpool went over, got the deal sorted, and it was announced very quickly. I'm just wondering, you know, I'm wondering because I refuse to believe we're going to let him leave for free. I just refuse to believe we're that stupid. So, for me, the only common sense things are sell or negotiate an extension. I mean, I just can't believe we let him go for free. So, what's Gordon worth? Most of you guys, I think I can end this poll now, said 50 to 60 million quid. 52% of you guys reckon he falls somewhere in that ballpark. Craig, I told you during the week about Gordon, Bobby Clark and 40 million. We would not let Bobby Clark go. There's no chance. We rate Bobby Clark very, very, very highly, and he's not going to be going back up there yet. I think his dad would love him to go back up, which is understandable. That's, you know, where they're from. But for us, he's viewed very highly. Signed a new contract with the club. And I like Bobby Clark, really. I think he's a good player. Alan, how are you, my friend? Said, I'm relaxed over transfers, Craig. Totally trust Edwards and co. As do I. Which is weird, because I don't trust those above Edwards. The people I don't trust are the owners. I very much believe that the people they've put in to do their jobs are really good calibre people. Michael Edwards we know about. Richard Hughes did a very good job at Bournemouth and by all accounts looks like a very good sporting director. Julian Ward coming back into the club fold or the FSG fold is a good thing. And Barry Hunter and Dave Fallows have always done a great job at the club. So I agree. I think we have very good people who will do the best deals that they can. It's just a matter of what are they working with financially. Can Guimaraes play as a CDM? Yes, he can, Krish. He's another player I would put in the category of I don't believe is worth 100 million. Maybe I'm wrong on that because there's enough clubs that are apparently willing to pay it. But for me, I don't see 100 million quid's worth of value. Kelleher plus cash equals Gordon. That's the only deal I see. At this point, I don't see the deal happening. Based off a couple of things. One, we didn't seem to jump at the opportunity. Two, they've sold Minto, which doesn't get them out of jail financially, but definitely gives them wiggle room. And then you've got the reports of them now saying that Gordon isn't for sale. But as I've always said, whatever they say, they were willing to sell him. And that's not going to go down well with his representatives and him. Why would it? I'd be fuming if I was in his shoes. Daniel said, is there a big chance we get Gordon or is it false? So here's what happened, Daniel. Newcastle offered Anthony Gordon to Liverpool. It wasn't Liverpool knocking on Newcastle's door. Newcastle came to Liverpool with the offer. They wanted Jarell Kwanzaa to be included in the deal, and Liverpool had no interest in moving Kwanzaa on. They see him as a big part of the future, correctly, because he had a great season last year. Looks like a hugely talented young centre back. After that, everything's going to be guessy. You know, I would say my gut feeling now is that there's no deal for Gordon to be had, because I don't think we were pushing hard enough. If we really wanted him, I think we would have said no to Kwanzaa, but we would have found another way. I just don't think it's a deal that appeals to Liverpool unless it's an absolute bargain, which this case it looks like it isn't going to be because of the Minta sale. Josh said, I rate Guimaraes at about 60 million. David Lynch said he thinks the deal won't happen. Yeah, I think if we wanted it, it would have happened. But as I said, this is going to be an interesting 24 hours or so anyway, because of the whole PSR situation in the Premier League. What else is there? Bradley free agent starting tomorrow. That's absolutely not true. Conor Bradley is not a free agent. Conor Bradley signed a new contract. So that's absolutely untrue. Conor Bradley, as far as I'm aware, has at least 3 more years on his deal. So, yeah, that's nonsense. Trent is going into the last year of his deal. We don't have any players at the club in the first team whose contracts are up on the 1st of July. None. With regards to first teamers. Obviously, Matip and Thiago are the ones we knew about, but there's no surprises. The ones that have 1 year to go on their deal starting July 1st are Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold. And Yaros, the goalkeeper. Nathan, how are you, Nathan? Said, I do think there will be some real surprises from Edwards this summer. 1 or 2 players no one saw coming. I agree, and I'm excited, but I'm also getting a little bit impatient because I'm an impatient person in general. But yeah, I'm excited. Someone said sell Trent. Look, it's a mad thing to say, but here's what worries me about Trent. I don't want to sell him, but I also don't want this transfer window to close and he have not resolved his future. Because the last thing we can allow to happen is him to go into the winter market, so between August and January, and be potentially able to sign a pre-contract to move away from Liverpool next summer for free. It's buffoonery that we're in this position, in my opinion. You can look at Salah and you can look at Virgil and you can make an argument about their ages, or Liverpool not wanting to commit much money moving forward because they're 32 and 33. I don't agree with that necessarily, but at least I can understand it. With Trent, I'm baffled. I absolutely have no idea how we're here. And, you know, I said all along, when you see him and Bellingham, you know, being pally-pally, and you know Real Madrid are in the market for fullbacks, and you know Real Madrid are a club that love to sniff out a bargain, it worries me. Because if Trent had his head turned, and again, it's a big if because I don't know, you know, it's not like we're talking about PSG. We're talking about Real Madrid, a club that have just assembled a squad that is ridiculous. Mbappe, Vinny Jr., Rodrigo, Valverde, Endrick, Bellingham, probably Alphonso Davies as well, is crazy. So I can see a world where Trent goes, maybe. So it's important for me that Liverpool show Trent that he's an important part moving forward and that he is loved. And I don't want to see a repeat of the Steven Gerrard scenario where Gerrard said he wasn't really feeling like he was a priority at Liverpool. That was crazy. New chair. Yes, good spot. I did get a new chair. Yeah, the other one just wasn't comfortable enough, even though it was a new chair. It was giving me awful back pain. So yes, I got a new one. Jeff said, very strange how Trent did a lap of honour on his own after the last game of the season before the Klopp farewell. So what worried me about Trent, and what still worries me, as you've rightly said, mate, he was quite upset at the end of the season. He's lost a huge influence on his football career in Jurgen Klopp. And I just hope that it isn't a case of, I've won the league, I've won the Champions League, I'm in a position where contractually I could get a move to Real Madrid. Is it time for me to change? I hope that isn't the case. But again, I can't make a valid argument as to why his contract isn't sorted out yet and why it was left to go this long. Even if we're all in agreement that he was waiting to see who the new coach was, I still feel like as soon as Arne Slot's name was on the contract, Trent should have been put a new deal straight in front of him. I'm baffled. What if Real Madrid gives us 100 million for Trent and stepped aside and let us have Lenny Euro? Well, firstly, they're not going to overpay for Trent, which they would be doing if they gave us 100 million with 1 year to go on his contract. It's interesting though about the stepping aside part for Lenny Euro. I don't think they will. But it is also been doing the rounds now that Real Madrid have said that if they can't get a deal at 40 million euro for Lenny Euro, they're going to look at Calafiori. I think that's brinksmanship, to be honest with you. I don't think that's real. I think Real Madrid are only going to go for Euro. Right, quick poll question. It's going to be just a simple one from a simple man. Are you worried about Trent and that situation? Yes or no? Just a simple poll. I'd love to know how you guys are feeling about it. I said worries. Sorry, I meant to write worried. This is what happens when an idiot gets left to run a poll. I meant to write worried. Sorry. So, just a little thing. Again, I want to remind everybody. I'm all up for a bit of banter. And I've been called everything that you can think of under the sun. All the fat jokes, ball jokes, I've got them all. Used to them. But what I would say to you was, as a person, from one person to another, what's the point of it? I don't understand the mindset of people going onto the internet and going out of their way to come into a stream to be an asshole to me or to other people. Life's a lot better if you just do stuff that makes you happy. So if you don't like Anfield Agenda, I get that. But go do something that makes you happy. I don't understand the need to always be shitting on people, whether it's me or anybody else. It's strange. And life's easier if you're happier and you make people smile. You know, it goes a long way. And as you know, I've always said, I'm a big advocate for mental health. And you don't know what's going through my or anybody else's head. For all you know, I could be in a really, really, really bad place. And that could be the comment that tips me over the edge. I'm not. But I'm just saying, you don't know. So always try to make someone smile. It costs nothing to be nice. And surely you've heard the phrase, if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. You know, it's weird. I really don't understand it. And we've always tried to be different on the channel with that. We want people to be able to come in, be vulnerable, open up, talk, meet people, interact, love each other, care for each other. And that's what we're about on here. So if you're going to be that person, please stop wasting all of our time and go elsewhere, because, you know, we want to be here to enjoy your company, not to shout at you. Can we have a poll if we like a chicken fried? A little bit of chicken fried, cold beer on a Friday night, a pair of jeans that fit just right. And the radio, no, it's radio up, isn't it? And the radio, although I don't wear jeans because, you know, I'm a chav, I wear tracksuit bottoms. But I do like a little bit of chicken fried. There are douches and assholes in all groups. There are, but not in ours. Simple, you know. Yeah, there are, but there doesn't need to be, because it's obvious they're insecure. Like, they'll come on and slag us, but they're insecure. If they feel the need to make people feel inferior or negative about themselves, they're going through a little something. Craig, what is your thoughts on Somerville? Do you see him in a Liverpool shirt? I gotta be honest, I'd find that very underwhelming if we signed Crescencio Somerville. Um, yeah, I feel very underwhelmed by it. And from what I've read, I think Chelsea were most likely, but I'll also say to you, I haven't seen enough of him. I don't watch all that much of the Championship, so I haven't seen him playing for Leeds too much. I'm really worried about the transfer window for us, said Owen. It's hard not to be worried, Owen, as a Liverpool fan, because we've got muscle memory of some traumatic windows. So I go into every window trying to be optimistic, but I get impatient really quickly. And I'm feeling that way again this summer. And we have a couple of things working against us at the moment. A new coach who needs to run the rule over the squad, some new people in the background, and a condensed window which all clubs face right now because of the Euros, the Copa America, the Olympics. So it's a difficult window anyway. And then we're going over to America, obviously, for pre-season. So, yeah, I'd hoped and still do that we can get some stuff done early, as early as possible. Would you rather keep Diaz or sign one of Gordon and Nico Williams? I'd rather sign Nico Williams, if I'm being honest with you. I love Diaz, but I don't see enough end product from him. His season last season was Mane's worst season numerically if you look at the like for like, and that's the level he's got to live up to. So for all the good things in Lucho's game, I don't see enough end product yet. He's 27, he's not a high earner at the club, and he has 3 years to go in his deal. So from our perspective, we're in no big rush to sell him, and we're under no pressure to sell him. I think the problem comes if Barcelona free up money and they're able to come with a reasonable offer for him. Then it's going to be a case of what he wants. And if he says to the club he wants to move on, then I think the club would facilitate it if they feel the transfer fee is right. Callum said, I'd take Chiesa on the cheap. So would I. I think I'm really surprised his name hasn't been doing the round more with Premier League clubs. He's got 1 year to go on his Juventus deal. So far he's looking like he's not going to sign the new one. So they're going to have to sell him on for probably a knockdown fee. So yeah, I think he'd be a good addition to a lot of Premier League clubs. Do you think we'll get the Gordon deal done in the next 30 minutes? Why would it need to be in the next 30 minutes? The PSR window, or the club's financial years, ends tomorrow night at midnight. It's 1st of July is the new financial year. But no, at this point, I don't think Anthony Gordon to Liverpool is happening. I think Liverpool have said no. And since Newcastle have then sold Minta and they don't need to free up as much money, I feel like they'll find a solution where they'll sell somebody for 10 or 15 million quid. So yeah, at this point I would say no to the likelihood of Liverpool signing Anthony Gordon. You ain't getting Gordon. With the once you said no, you dumb fuck. Like, this is what baffles me. Go away, you trolling little shit. If we wanted Anthony Gordon, he'd be a Liverpool player now. If you're a Newcastle fan, you should be thanking us. Because if we wanted him, he was ours. You offered him to us. Came out with a begging bowl, asking the big club with the money to come and bail you out. And we said no. So, again, I'll reiterate. If we wanted him, he'd be a Liverpool player now. You're welcome. All Newcastle fans acting like Newcastle players are hard to get. I like Newcastle. Big fan of the Geordies. I think they're great. I love their fan base. They're sound. But I do understand their frustration as well. Not at the PSR stuff, at the club. Because why would you go and sign all these players if you didn't think you'd be able to make the numbers add up in the longer term? It feels like an unnecessary risk. And whatever happens now, as I've said, you've just told Anthony Gordon that you were willing to sacrifice him. So you're going to have an unhappy player on your hands, no matter what happens. And that's not a good look. So what I found hilarious at the minute is all the clubs cry arson about PSR and talking about cartels and Big Six and all this other shite. Ultimately, every Premier League owner signed up to these rules. If you don't run your club properly, tough shit. Talking about we have the wealthiest owners. That doesn't mean jack shit though in the Premier League. Because the numbers have to add up. It has to be a viable business. And that's the frustration with all the cry arson. Is that you can't have your rich sugar daddies from any part of the world come in and just spunk money all over the place. And that's what's really winding you up. So you can cry about cartels and Big Sixes all you want. But ultimately, you should be grateful that these rules are in place. Because they're put in place to make sure that these football clubs are sustainable and that the next generation will have a club to go and watch. So it's about doing things the right way. Look at Spurs. Spurs were a bit of a mid-table club 7, 8, 10 years ago. And gradually, through doing the right things, they built themselves up. So it takes time. It can be done. Villa have done a good job of it as well, although their fans are a bit cry arson as well now that they have to be held to account for the money. It's weird. It's not like the rules just came out of nowhere. Everybody has to abide by these rules. If there's no jeopardy, what's the point? If it's just a pissing contest for sovereign wealth funds, where's the fun in it? It's not sporting then. You should be happy that these rules are in place, that football clubs are going to be around for the next generations. Do you not think me as a Liverpool fan would like to see John W. Henry spend more money? And I know that we can do it without PSR trouble. And we still have to look at John being cheap. So stop throwing your toys out of the pram. And just understand that you signed up for it. These are the rules. Fritz Frank said, it may be Canada Day weekend. And I may have had a lot of cold beers Friday night. And this channel is the best. I always love your comments, mate. I always love interacting with you. You always write, thanks for the content, when you post on YouTube under videos, mate. And I always see it and it always makes me smile. So thank you. And happy Canada Day weekend to everybody celebrating over there as well. Freestyle, love the channel from Cork. How are you, my friend? Lovely to have you in. Beautiful part of the country you live in as well. Are we really that cheap if we're being honest? Financially prudent might be a better term. No, for me, look, Austin, bro, I get you. We all look at these things in a different way and I'm not here to jump down your throat. But I think we're cheap. You know, example again, last summer, we were in rebuild mode and we spent the 6th most amount of money in the Premier League. And we were playing catch up at that point and we were in rebuild mode. So I would say to you, yeah. When you're a club that 1 year turned £100 million profit, which we did 1 year, maybe 3-4 years ago, I would say we have the ability to spend money without getting ourselves into all kinds of bother and debt. So for me, our owners are cheap. You might say frugal, and they certainly do some good work on the financial side. The commercial partners they've brought in and the revenues that they've increased on top of course, the television revenues and all, they've been brilliant, of course. But my argument's always, what's the point of all of this if we don't finish it with being able to challenge for the best players? You know, because we're always told we're Liverpool Football Club. We exist to win trophies. We're showing about the Cop and the Shankly, Paisley and all these years gone by and European Cups being lifted by Tomo and Crazy Horse, and you know, that's what we should be about. And to do that, we need to maintain what we have every year and add a bit more, like Arsenal have been doing. We're not getting a Declan Rice. That's the difference. If we really have owners that want to win and not just be in the top 4, that's a difference for me. You know, Liverpool Football Club should be in and around top 4, top 6, regardless of what's happening. But we want to win. We don't want to go back in the Champions League next season just to get out of the group. I want to see us win the Champions League. Meath in the house. Oliver, how are we? But we spent well. Yes, but that doesn't mean we did enough. You know? Like, let me ask you this, Bon. I'm not going to push back with you about us spending well, because you're right. I think the business we done last year was quite good. But do we go into the season with a fully stacked squad, ready to compete across all competitions? Because with the best of intentions, we went in a defender short minimum, and you could argue that we cheaped out on the defensive midfield option by bringing in Endo, who's very good, but not world class. So again, we're putting stick and plasters on some of the problems, would be the way I'd say it. And good business is great, but we still have deficiencies in the squad. And we've had those deficiencies for the last few years. Whether it was the midfielder everybody said we needed, and then we ended up with Arthur Mello, or whether it was the centre-backs that we all said we needed, and we ended up with Ben Davies and Ozan Kabak on loan. That ain't going to be a difference maker. That's not going to win you Premier League titles. And that's what I mean when I say our owners are cheap. Somebody said, Craig, what is PSR? So PSR is profit and sustainability rules. And it's a set of rules that the Premier League club signed up to that is done in a 3-year cycle. And in that 3 years, any Premier League club is only allowed to lose a maximum of £105 million over that accounting period of 3 years. 3-year cycle ends tomorrow at midnight, and then a new one begins. So clubs that are in problems and have financial issues with PSR have to move players on or face points deductions or sanctions on the 1st of July. That's the easiest way I can try to explain it. A solid DM is the most important position we need to sort out first, said Jay. I would say centre-back, Jay, probably, because we've only got Kwanzaa, who's young, Kanade, who's young and a little bit inconsistent and has had some injuries, and then we've got Gomez, who's a bit of a utility man. So I think we need a partner for Virgil van Dijk and cover for Virgil van Dijk. I do agree with you, though. We do need a defensive midfielder, and I'd like Ederson from Atlanta. Disagree about Endo being world class. He's his country's international captain. Okay, you can disagree all you want, but he isn't. World class players don't play in Stuttgart till they're 30. Being your international captain doesn't really mean anything when your international team's hardly pulling up trees. Do you know what I mean? Endo's good. He's a solid pro, and he definitely added to our squad, but he's not world class. You can't have that conversation with a straight face. He isn't. And if he was that good, he wouldn't have been playing over in Stuttgart where nobody was willing to go and buy him. So, with all due respect, I love Endo. He's been a great addition to the team, but he is not world class. He's very good. I guess maybe what we talk about world class is maybe different. There's a difference there, you know. For me, world class is the creme de la creme. And I would say at Liverpool we have 4. I'd say we have probably 4 world-class players at Liverpool, in my humble opinion. For me, I would say Alisson, Van Dijk, McAllister and Salah are what I would call world-class at our club. On top of that, you've got some great players. The reason I don't throw Trent into that mix is I still don't know whether he's a right-back or a centre midfielder. At least we pulled out of the deal when Newcastle wanted our boy Kwanzaa. Yeah, I'm glad Liverpool told him to do one. Yeah, I'm glad Liverpool told him to do one. Because I don't want to lose Kwanzaa. That would just be silly. Everybody mentioned Trent as well, and I explained my Trent situations. He's brilliant. Like, I'm not pushing back, but I don't know. Where is he world class? Is he world class right back? World class centre midfielder? I don't know what he is yet, so. What's with the new chair? I just think it was a better chair, mate. It's just more comfortable for me. And it will also fit better with our new studio that's under construction at the minute for next season. But yeah, just wanted a new chair, mate. My final exams start on July 1st. I'm a bit nervous. Don't worry. All the best to you, bro. And don't stress yourself out about it. All you can do is your best. Put your best foot forward and give it a go and see where you end up. Robbo is world class. Is he? disagree. And I love Robbo. He'd be my captain, but I don't think he's world class. Not now. I think Robbo's on a very slow decline. I think Robbo, we've seen the best of Andy Robertson. And that's why the whole idea of ENQUIRIES is really interesting. Because I could see that being a brilliant signing. You know, I don't think Costas is ever going to replace Andy Robertson in the long term. So if you could bring in Ray and ENQUIRIES, move Costas on, I think that gives us real options. You know, then the pressure's on Robbo. Someone breathing down his neck. You have to deliver, which we know he's capable of, or you're going to lose your spot to the new fella that's come in. And that's what it should be. Every position at a club like Liverpool should have two people fighting for that spot. Very few people should be guaranteed a jersey. Alisson, obviously, yeah, he's one. Salah was another. Van Dijk. But right now, I want increased competition. And one of the things that's always annoyed me about Salah is I don't think he's ever had real competition at Liverpool. Not that, you know, you could compete with him because he's a superstar, but he's never really had the pressure of somebody breathing down his neck if he did go through a run of games where perhaps he wasn't at his best. Gravenberch has the potential to be world class. Absolutely. Ryan Gravenberch has surprised me so much. You know, somebody was very concerned about that signing, but very quickly I put my hands up to say, no, I can see it now. But he needs to continue to develop. And the more game time he gets, the more rhythm he gets into. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Ryan Gravenberch's development over the next few years. The classic grey and white Adidas jumper, legendary. Do you know what? I've ordered a couple of Adidas t-shirts that were going to get made up with the Anfield Agenda embroidered logo. Ordered them yesterday, so we're going to get a few made up to see what they're like, and then maybe we look at merch in that sense. But you know me, I'm always rocking Adidas. Right, look, ladies and gents, I'm going to call it a night. If anything does happen tomorrow, I'll be back on and we'll go through it all as always. If not, I'll probably take the day off tomorrow. England fans, best of luck to you tomorrow. If not, sure, I will see you guys Monday, but maybe a video tomorrow anyway. But either way, thank you guys so much for jumping on with me. Appreciate it. Drop a like for me if you can before you head off. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And don't forget, if you would like to come and see us at Cardiff or Liverpool, you can get your tickets for the live shows with the link at the top of the chat in the description of the video, and the price is just £15. They're all ages shows, meaning everyone's able to come along. Thank you so much for dropping in with me on a Saturday night. Enjoy yourselves, and I'll catch up with you soon. Much